Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books here in ISKCON Houston, the live studios, Radha Lane, just right across the way from Sri Sri Radha Neelamadhava's beautiful temple. Okay, we've reached the 15th chapter. We're going to go into a new section of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. It was a long pastime. Bharat Maharaj, the deer, Jad Bharat, teachings to Rahugana. It was a long one. Okay, now we're going to go into a new one. So first, before we do, let's hear our Srila Sanatana Goswami's prayer glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam, shall we? Take a vote. Okay, everybody's so eager. Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami. It goes like this. Sarva Shastra Vipirusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavatam Prabhu Kalidvan Loditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Padaya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madhika Bando Matsangin Madguru Madgahadana Mandistada Madbhagya Namostate. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin adini chochatakara anamunchagadachin mam premnarit kantayosvura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, before we begin, I would like to offer a slight apology to our followers out in cyberspace. It's been brought to my attention that sometimes over the last few days there have been comments that haven't been noticed and we didn't respond to them. So we're going to be extra vigilant, so please don't stop asking, you're giving your reflections or asking questions or whatever you want to do. We will facilitate you fully. Okay, we've reached...
Can you move it up a little bit?
Why it's not working?
It's not so good.
Not so good. Me. Hello. 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 I'm in my room trying to edit something, and all of a sudden you hear outside Govardhan turned up like to the max. We have a joke over there. When they sell an amplifier, they turn it up to 11 out of 10. And then they knock off the knob. Okay. So here we are. Chapter 15, Canto 5. The Glories of the Descendants of King Priyavrata. You remember Priyavrata? Okay. Summary of the chapter. In this chapter, the descendants of Bharat Maharaj and many other kings are described. The son of Maharaj Bharat was named Sumati. He followed the path of liberation given by Rishabhadev. Some people mistakenly thought Sumati to be the direct incarnation of Lord Buddha. The son of Sumati was Devatajit, and his son was Devadyumna. Devadyumna's son was Parameshti, and his son was Pratiha. Pratiha was a very great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he had 3 sons, named Pratiharta, Prastota, and Udgata. Pratiharta had 2 sons, Aja and Bhuma. The son of Bhuma was Udgita, and the son of Udgita was Prastava. The son of Prastava was Vibhu, and the son of Vibhu was Pritushena, whose son was Nakta. The wife of Nakta, Dhruti, gave birth to Gaya, who was a very famous and saintly king. Actually, King Gaya was a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and because of his great devotion to Lord Vishnu, he received the title Mahapurusha. King Gaya had sons named Chitrarat, Sumati, and Avarodhana. The son of Chitrarata was the emperor Samrat, and his son was Marichi, whose son was Bindu. Bindu's son was Madhu, and Madhu's son was, and Madhu's son was Priyavrata. Priyavrata's 2 sons were Mantu and Pramantu, and the son of Mantu was Bhavana. The son of Bhavana was Twashta, and the son of Twashta was Viraja, who glorified the whole dynasty. Viraja had 100 sons and 1 daughter. Of these, the son named Shatajit became very famous. Text 1. Okay, so now we're going back into the genealogical tables of the sons of these great personalities and their descendants. So we should be conscious of our prayer that we offer by Sanatana Goswami every day, that every syllable, from every syllable, even these seemingly, just history things.
You have to change the mic, it's not working.
The mic's not working. Technical difficulties. Dot, 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 dot. Well, she changes the mic. Where's our Shweta Dweep? He's our savior. Okay. Is this working?
Okay.
Is it working now? Oh, testing. Hello, 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 hello. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 1, 2, 3. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, hello. Okay, we're safe. But the other mic was better, I think. The other mics were better. Right? I lived there for many, many years. You don't know how many times I put up with this.
Exactly.
What?
You say it exactly the way you say it.
I know. I know. I've assimilated. Alo.
This one is not working.
Hello, yeah.
All right. Give it back to Shweta Dweep. Tell him to do something. The whole thing's not working. Strange, isn't it? We've been cheated. Go to the Protection Bureau, Consumer Protection Bureau, sue. There was a big song by George Harrison. It was the Sue Me, Sue You Blues. Now what?
Now, pin this one, and then pin that one.
Unpin this one. Pin this one. So just one of them wasn't working?
The backup's not working and the original is not working, so we'll just do it this
But
one.
this one won't. Just now mine is just a...
Now this is a realization. Material nature is imperfect. It never works. Or even if it looks like it works, it breaks. Just so that we won't become too attached. Oh, now everything's perfect. We can stay here forever and be happy. No. Okay. As I was saying before I got so rudely cut off by the technical advisor, we should remember that every single syllable that comes out, the names of these personalities, although they seem like just passing, just tables of persons who just have, every single one of them is extremely important for the unfolding of the universe. These are our ancestors. Okay? Text 1. Srila Shukadev Goswami continues. The son of Maharaj Bharat, known as Sumati, followed the path of Rishabhadev. But in the age of Kali, some unscrupulous people will imagine him to be Lord Buddha himself. These people, who will actually be atheistic and of bad character, will interrupt the Vedic principles in an imaginary, infamous way to support their activities. Thus, these sinful people will accept Sumati as Lord Buddhadev and propagate the theory that everyone should follow the principles of Sumati. In this way, they will be carried away by mental concoction. Purport. Those who are Aryans strictly follow the Vedic principles, but in this age of Kali, a community has sprung up known as the Arya Samaj, whose members are ignorant of the import of the Vedas in the Parampara system. They decry all the bona fide acharyas and pose themselves as the real followers of the Vedic principles. But in fact, such non-Aryans do not follow the Vedic principles. Another group of non-Aryans are the Jains, who are referred to in the present verse. Not only do they not follow the Vedic principles, but they have no relationship with Lord Buddha, although they claim to. Imitating the behavior of Sumati, they also claim to be the descendants of Rishabhadev. Those who are Vaishnavas carefully avoid their company because they are ignorant of the path of the Vedas. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Krishna says, Vidaish Chasarvar Aham Eva Vedyaha. The real purpose of the Vedas is to understand me. This is the injunction of all Vedic literatures. One who does not know the greatness of Lord Krishna cannot be accepted as an Aryan. Lord Buddha, an incarnation of Lord Krishna, adopted a particular means to propagate the philosophy of Bhagavad Dharma. He preached almost exclusively among atheists. Atheists do not want any God, and Lord Buddha therefore said that there is no God, but he adopted the means to instruct his followers for their benefit. Therefore he preached in a duplicitous way, saying that there is no God. Nonetheless, he himself was an incarnation of God. Text 2. From Sumati, a son named Devatajit was born by the womb of his wife named Vridasena. Text 3. Thereafter, in the womb of Asuri, the wife of Devatajit, a son named Devadyumna was begotten. Devadyumna begot in the womb of his wife, Dhanumati, a son named Parameshti. Parameshti begot a son named Pratiha in the womb of his wife, Suvarchala. Text 4. King Pratiha personally propagated the principles of self-realization. In this way, not only was he purified, but he became a great devotee of the Supreme Person, Lord Vishnu, and directly realized him. Purport. The word anusasmara is very significant. God consciousness is not imaginary or concocted. The devotee who is pure and advanced realizes God as he is. Maharaj Pratiha did so, and due to his direct realization of Lord Vishnu, he propagated self-realization and became a preacher. A real preacher cannot be bogus. He must first of all realize Lord Vishnu as he is, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshinaha. One who has seen the truth can impart knowledge. The word tatvadarshi refers to one who has perfectly realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person can become a guru and propound Vaishnava philosophy all over the world. The paragon of bona fide preachers and guru is King Pratiha. Text 5. In the womb of his wife, Suvarchala, Pratiha begot 3 sons, named Pratiharta, Prastota, and Udgata. These 3 sons were very expert in performing Vedic rituals. Pratiharta begot 2 sons, named Aja and Bhuma, in the womb of his wife, named Stuti. Text 6. In the womb of his wife, Rishikulya, King Bhuma begot a son named Udgita. From Udgita's wife, Devakulya, a son named Prastava was born, and Prastava begot a son named Vibhu through his wife, Niyutsa. In the womb of his wife, Rati, Vibhu begot a son named Pritusena. Pritusena begot a son named Nakta in the womb of his wife, named Akuti. Nakta's wife was Druti, and from her womb, the great king Gaya was born. Gaya was very famous and pious. He was the best of saintly kings. Lord Vishnu and his expansions, who were meant to protect the universe, are always situated in the transcendental mode of goodness, known as Vishuddha Sattva. Being a direct expansion of Lord Vishnu, King Gaya was also situated in the Vishuddha Sattva. Because of this, Maharaj Gaya was fully equipped with transcendental knowledge. Therefore, he was called Mahapurusha. Purport. From this verse, it appears that the incarnations of God are various. Some are part and parcel of the direct expansions, and some are direct expansions of Lord Vishnu. A direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Angsha or Swangsha, whereas an incarnation from Angsha is called Kala. Among the Kalas, there are the Vibhinangsha Jivas, or living entities. These are counted among the Jiva Tattvas. Those who come directly from Lord Vishnu are called Vishnu Tattva and are sometimes designated as Mahapurusha. Another name for Krishna is Mahapurusha, and a devotee is sometimes called Mahapurushika. Text 7. King Gaya gave full protection and security to the citizens so that their personal property would not be disturbed by undesirable elements. He also saw that there was sufficient food to feed all the citizens. This is called Poshana. He would sometimes distribute gifts to the citizens to satisfy them. This is called Prinana. He would sometimes call meetings and satisfy the citizens with sweet words. This is called Upalalana. He would also give them good instructions on how to become first-class citizens. This is called Anushasana. Such were the characteristics of King Gaya's royal order. Besides all this, King Gaya was a householder who strictly observed the rules and regulations of household life. He performed sacrifices and was an unalloyed pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was called Mahapurusha because as a king, he gave the citizens all facilities, and as a householder, he He executed all his duties so that at the end he became a strict devotee of the Supreme Lord. As a devotee, he was always ready to give respect to other devotees and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. This is the Bhakti Yoga process. Due to all these transcendental activities, King Gaya was always free from the bodily conception. He was full in Brahman realization, and consequently, he was always jubilant. He did not experience material lamentation. Although he was perfect in all respects, he was not proud, nor was he anxious to rule the kingdom. Purport. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, when he descends to earth, he has two types of business: to give protection to the faithful and annihilate the demons. Pritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. Since the king is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is sometimes called Naradeva, that is, the Lord as a human being. According to the Vedic injunctions, he is worshipped as God on the material platform. As a representative of the Supreme Lord, the king had the duty to protect the citizens in a perfect way, so that they would not be anxious for food and protection, and so that they would be jubilant. The king would supply everything for their benefit, and because of this, he would levy taxes. If the king or government otherwise levies taxes on the citizens, he becomes responsible for the sinful activities of the citizens. In Kali Yuga, monarchy is abolished because the kings themselves are subjected to the influence of Kali Yuga. It is understood from the Ramayana that when Vibhishana became friends with Lord Ramachandra, he promised that if by chance or will he broke the laws of friendship with Lord Ramachandra, he would become a Brahmana or a king in Kali Yuga. In this age, as Vibhishana indicated, both Brahmanas and kings are in a wretched condition. Actually, there are no kings or Brahmanas in this age, and due to their absence, the whole world is in a chaotic condition and is always in distress. Compared to present standards, Maharaj Gaya was a true representative of Lord Vishnu, therefore he was known as Mahapurusha. I'd like to point out one thing, and that is that the yardstick or the method of the metric for how well a king was doing his duty or success in his duty was how happy the citizens were, not how happy the king was. A little different nowadays. Text 8. My dear King Parikshit, those who are learned scholars in the histories of the Puranas eulogize and glorify King Gaya with the following verses. Purport. The historical references to exalted kings serve as a good example for present rulers. Those who are ruling the world at the present moment should take lessons from King Gaya, King Yudhishthir, and King Prithu, and rule the citizens so that they will be happy. Presently, the governments are levying taxes without improving the citizens in any cultural, religious, social, or political way. According to the Vedas, this is not recommended. Text 9. The great King Gaya used to perform all kinds of Vedic rituals. He was highly intelligent and expert in studying all the Vedic literatures. He maintained the religious principles and possessed all kinds of opulence. He was a leader among gentlemen and a servant of the devotees. He was a totally qualified plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, who could equal him in the performance of gigantic ritualistic ceremonies? Text 10. All the chaste and honest daughters of Maharaj Daksha, such as Shraddha, Maitri, and Daya, whose blessings were always effective, bathed Maharaj Gaya with sanctified water. Indeed, they were very satisfied with Maharaj Gaya. The planet Earth personified came as a cow And as she saw her calf, she delivered milk profusely, as though she saw her calf. She delivered milk profusely when she saw all the good qualities of Maharaj Gaya. In other words, Maharaj Gaya was able to derive all benefits from the earth and thus satisfy the desires of his citizens. However, he personally had no desire. Purport. The earth over which Maharaj Gaya ruled is compared to a cow. The good qualities there whereby he maintained and ruled the citizens are compared to the calf. A cow delivers milk in the presence of her calf. Similarly, the cow, or earth, fulfilled the desires of Maharaj Gaya, who was able to utilize all the resources of the earth to benefit his citizens. This was possible because he was bathed in sanctified water by the honest daughters of Daksha. Unless a king or ruler is blessed by authorities, he cannot rule the citizens very satisfactorily. Through the good qualities of the ruler, the citizens become very happy and well qualified. Text 11. Although King Gaya had no personal desire for sense gratification, all his desires were fulfilled by virtue of his performance of Vedic rituals. All the kings with whom Maharaj Gaya had to fight were forced to fight on religious principles. They were very satisfied with his fighting, and they would present all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, all the brahmanas in his kingdom were very satisfied with King Gaya's munificent charities. Consequently, the brahmanas contributed a sixth of their pious activities for King Gaya's benefit in the next life. Purport. As a Kshatriya, or emperor, Maharaj Gaya sometimes had to fight with subordinate kings to maintain his government. But the subordinate kings were not dissatisfied with him because they knew that he fought for religious principles. Consequently, they accepted their subordination and offered all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, the brahmanas who performed Vedic rituals were so satisfied with the king that they very readily agreed to part with a sixth of their pious activities for his benefit in the next life. Thus, the brahmanas and kshatriyas were all satisfied with Maharaj Gaya because of his proper administration. In other words, Maharaj Gaya satisfied the kshatriya kings by his fighting and satisfied the brahmanas by his charities. The Vaishyas were also encouraged by kind words and affectionate dealings. And due to Maharaj Gaya's constant sacrifices, the Shudras were satisfied by sumptuous food and charity. In this way, Maharaj Gaya kept all the citizens very satisfied. When brahmanas and saintly persons are honored, they part with their pious activities, giving them to those who honor them and render them service. Therefore, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:34, Tadvidi panipatena pariprashnena sevaya. One should try to approach a spiritual master submissively and render service unto him. Text 12. In Maharaj Gaya's sacrifices, there was a great supply of the intoxicant known as soma. King Indra used to come and become intoxicated by drinking large quantities of soma rasa. Also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the Yajna Purusha, also came and personally accepted all these sacrifices offered unto him with pure and firm devotion in the sacrificial arena. Purport. Maharaj Gaya was so perfect that he satisfied all the demigods who were headed by the heavenly king Indra. Lord Vishnu himself also personally came to the sacrificial arena to accept the offerings. Although Maharaj Gaya did not want them, he received all the blessings of the demigods and the Supreme Lord himself. Text 13. When the Supreme Lord is pleased by a person's actions, automatically all the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, bees, creepers, trees, grass, and all other living entities, beginning with Lord Brahma, are pleased. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul of everyone, and he is by nature fully pleased. Nonetheless, he came to the arena of Maharaj Gaya and said, I am fully pleased. Purport. It is explicitly stated herein that simply by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one satisfies the demigods and all other living entities without differentiation. If one pours water on the root of a tree, all the branches, twigs, flowers, and leaves are nourished. Although the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied, he was so pleased with the behavior of Maharaj Gaya that he personally came to the sacrificial arena and said, I am fully satisfied. Who can compare to Maharaj Gaya? Text 14 and 15. In the womb of Gayanti, Maharaj Gaya begot 3 sons, named Chittarat, Sugati, and Avarodhana. In the womb of his life, Urna, Chittarata begot a son named Samrat. The wife of Samrat was Utkala, and in her womb, Samrat begot a son named Marichi. In the womb of his wife, Bindumati, Marichi begot a son named Bindu. In the womb of his wife, Saraga, Bindu begot a son named Madhu. In the womb of his wife, named Sumana, Madhu begot a son named Priyavrata. In the womb of his wife, Boja, Priyavrata begot 2 sons named Mantu and Pramantu. In the womb of his wife, Satya, Mantu begot a son named Bhavana. And in the womb of his wife, Dushana, Bhavana begot a son named Twashta. In the womb of his wife, Virochana, Twashta begot a son named Viraja. The wife of Viraja was Vishuchi. And in her womb, Viraja begot 100 sons and 1 daughter. Of all these sons, the son named Shatajit was predominant. Text 16. There is a famous verse about King Viraja. Because of his high qualities and wide fame, King Viraja became the jewel of the dynasty of King Priyavrata, just as Lord Vishnu, by his transcendental potency, decorates and blesses the demigods. Purport. Within a garden, a flowering tree attains a good reputation because of its fragrant flowers. Similarly, if there is a famous man in a family, he is compared to a fragrant flower in the forest. Because of him, an entire family can become famous in history. Because Lord Krishna took birth in the Yadu dynasty, the Yadu dynasty and the Yadavas have remained famous for all time. Because of King Viraja's appearance, the family of Maharaj Priyavrata has remained famous for all time. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 15th chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. 5th canto, 15th chapter, yes, of Srimad-Bhagavatam. The glories of the descendants of King Priyavrata. Quite a plot. I would like to make a small announcement that was told to me by Rati Manjari by Skype that during that 1-year anniversary of our live streaming, we had 775 views. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. We're contributing to the expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement.
You gotta start putting balloons in your background more often.
Yeah, people like flowers and balloons, parties, yeah. Okay. being a sannyasi, I'm not too much. Anyway. Chapter 16, a description of Jambudvip. While describing the character of Maharaj Priyavrata and his descendants, Shukadeva Goswami also described Meru Mountain and the planetary system known as Bhumandala. Bhumandala is like a lotus flower, and its 7 islands are compared to the whorl of the lotus. The place known as Jambudvip is in the middle of that whorl. In Jambudvip there is a mountain known as Sumeru, which is made of solid gold. The height of this mountain is 84,000 yojanas, of which 16,000 yojanas are below the earth. Its width is estimated to be 32,000 yojanas at its summit and 16,000 yojanas at its foot. 1 yojana equals approximately 8 miles. This king of mountains, Sumeru, is the support of the planet Earth. On the southern side of the land, known as Ilavrita-Varsha, are the mountains known as Himavan, Hemakutta, and Nishada. And on the northern side are the mountains Nila, Shweta, and Shringa. Similarly, on the eastern and western side, there are Malyavan and Gandhamarana, 2 large mountains. Surrounding Sumera mountain are 4 mountains known as Mandara, Meramandara, Supashva, and Kamuda, each 10,000 yojanas long and 10,000 yojanas high. On these 4 mountains there are 3 trees. There are trees 1,100 yojanas high, a mango tree, a rose apple tree, a kadamba tree, and a banyan tree. There are also lakes full of milk, honey, sugarcane juice, and pure water. These lakes can fulfill all desires. There are also gardens named Nandana, Chitrarata, Vaibrajaka, and Sarvatabhadra. On the side of the Suparshva mountain is a kadamba tree with streams of honey flowing from its hollows. And on Kamuda mountain there's a banyan tree named Shatavalsha, from whose roots flow rivers containing milk, yogurt, and many other desirable things. Surrounding Sumera mountain, like filaments of the whorl of a lotus, are 20 mountain ranges, such as Kuranga, Kurara, Kusamba, Vaikanta, and Trikuta. To the east of Sumeru are the mountains Jathara and Devakutta. To the west are Pavana and Pariyatra. To the south are Kailas and Karavira, and to the north are Trishinga and Makara. These 8 mountains are about 18,000 yojanas long, 2,000 yojanas wide, and 2,000 yojanas high. On the summit of Mount Sumeru is Brahmapuri, the residence of Lord Brahma. Each of its 4 sides is 10,000 yojanas long. Surrounding Brahmapuri are the cities of King Indra and 7 other demigods. These cities are 1/4 the size of Brahmapuri. Text 1. King Parikshit said to Shukadeva Goswami, O Brahmana, you have already informed me that the radius of Bhumandala extends as far as the sun spreads its light and heat, and as far as the moon and all the stars can be seen. Purport. In this verse, it is stated that the planetary system known as Bhumandala extends to the limits of the sunshine. According to modern science, the sunshine reaches Earth from a distance of 93 million miles. If we calculate according to this modern information, 93 million miles can be considered the radius of Bhumandala. In the Gayatri Mantra, we chant Om Bhur Bhuvak Swa. The word Bhur refers to Bhumandala. Tat Savitur Varenyam. The sunshine spreads throughout Bhumandala. Therefore the sun is worshipable. The stars, which are known as Nakshatra, are not different suns as modern astronomers suppose. From Bhagavad Gita 10:21, we understand that the stars are similar to the moon. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Like the moon, the stars reflect the sunshine. Apart from our modern distinguished estimations of where the planetary systems are located, we can understand that the sky and its very planets were studied long, long before. Srimad-Bhagavatam was before Srimad-Bhagavatam was compiled. Shukadeva Goswami explained the location of the planets, and this indicates that the information was known long, long before Shukadeva Goswami related it to Maharaj Parikshit. The location of the various planetary systems was not unknown to the sages who flourished in the Vedic age. Text 2. My dear Lord, the rolling wheels of Maharaj Priyavrata's chariot created 7 ditches in which the 7 oceans came into existence. Because of these 7 oceans, Bhumandala is divided into 7 islands. You have given a very general description of their measurement, names, and characteristics. Now I wish to know of them in detail. Kindly fulfill my desire. Text 3. When the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his external feature, made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought to the platform of pure goodness. In that transcendental position, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of nature. O my Lord, please describe vividly how that form, which covers the entire universe, is perceived. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit had already been advised by his spiritual master, Shukadeva Goswami, to think of the universal form of the Lord, and therefore, following the advice of his spiritual master, he continuously thought of that form. The universal form is certainly material, but because everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ultimately nothing is material. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj's mind was saturated with spiritual consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, Prapanchikataya bhujya harisambandhi bastunaha mumukshabi parityago vairagyam palgu katyate. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 255 and 256. Everything, even that which is material, is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur translates this verse as follows. Shri Hari Sevaya Yaha Haya Anukula Vishaya Baliya Tyage Haya Bula. One should not give up anything connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking it material or enjoyable for the material senses. Even the senses, when purified, are spiritual. When Maharaj Parikshit was thinking of the universal form of the Lord, his mind was certainly situated on the transcendental platform. Therefore, although he might not have had any reason to be concerned with detailed information of the universe, he was thinking of it in relationship with the Supreme Lord, and therefore such geographical knowledge was not material but transcendental. Elsewhere in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.5.20, Narada Muni has said, Idam hi Bishwam Bhagavan Ivetara. The entire universe is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although it appears different from him. Therefore, although Parikshit Maharaj had no need for geographical knowledge of this universe, that knowledge was also spiritual and transcendental because he was thinking of the entire universe as an expansion of the energy of the Lord. In our preaching work, we deal with so much property and money and so many books bought and sold. But because these dealings all pertain to the Krishna consciousness movement, they should never be considered material. That one is absorbed in thoughts of such management does not mean that he is outside of Krishna consciousness. if one rigidly observes the regulative principles of chanting 16 rounds of the Mahamantra every day, his dealings with the material world for the sake of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement are not different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Text 4. The great Rishi, Shukadev Goswami said, "My dear king, there is no limit to the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of the material qualities, Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. Yet no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O king, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal regions such as Bhugoloka, Bhuloka, with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms." Purport. The material world is only 1/4 of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's creation, but it is unlimited and impossible for anyone to know or describe, even with the qualification of a life as long as that of Brahma, who lives for millions and millions of years. Modern scientists and astronomers try to explain the cosmic situation and the vastness of space, and some of them believe that all the glittering stars are different suns. From Bhagavad Gita, however, we understand that all these stars, nakshatras, are like the moon in that they reflect the sunshine. They are not independent luminaries. Bhuloka is explained to be that portion of outer space through which the heat and light of the sun extend. Therefore, it is natural to conclude that this universe extends in space as far as we can see and encompasses the glittering stars. Srila Shukadev Goswami admitted that to give full details of this expansive material universe would be impossible, but nevertheless, he wanted to give the king as much knowledge as he had received through the Parampara system. We should conclude that if one cannot comprehend the material expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one certainly cannot estimate the expansiveness of the spiritual world. The Brahma Samhita 533 confirms this. Advaitam achyutam anadam anantarupam adyam purana purusham navajovanam cha. The limits of the expansions of Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be estimated by anyone, even a perfect person as perfect as Brahma, not to speak of tiny scientists whose senses and instruments are all imperfect and who cannot give us information of even this one universe. We should therefore be satisfied with the information obtainable from Vedic sources as spoken by authorities like Shukadev Goswami. And we'll stop here. The conch shell curtain is closing. All right. Okay, so is the microphone working now? This one is. Neither one is working. Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
I think we should switch to Bluetooth mics.
Anyway, that's another idea. Maybe right or maybe wrong. But I'm trying to work the thing now. So nobody can hear us
Maybe
speaking?
go directly into the...
They can hear from the phone, like it's coming from, the sound is coming from what the phone is picking up, not from the mic. So you can hear it as though it's...
What about this connector, this adapter?
The white?
The adapter going from the telephone to the other cords. Yes. We've been using that for a long time. These things are not built to last forever. Go onto my desk and there's a box with a new one. that you may be familiar with. Okay, so now, Hare Krishna. We got a little pause here. Well, anyway, they can hear it, but it sounds like it's from a distance. So we invite all of you out there in cyberspace to please participate, and we will be sure that all the messages that you're sending are being translated to the moment of truth. Hello. Can you hear me now? Houston? Houston? We're in Houston. Can you hear me now? Houston speaking. Is it working? Can you hear me now? Houston? Houston? We're in Houston. Can you hear me now? Okay, so now we don't have defective microphones, which would have been very strange. I couldn't understand. They were brand new microphones. They were tested once, then replaced by Shweta Dweep, and they still didn't work. So this is the problem. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for all your patience throughout this technical difficulty. And now I understand how vast and complicated and intelligent must be Krishna to maintain this whole universe, of which we can't even see even a tiny molecular particle of it in relationship to the whole universe, what to speak of the coverings of the universe. Okay, so now we have open mic time, and now we have mics that work. Ta-da! Hare Krishna.
We have a lot of questions from cyberspace today.
We have a lot of questions. You're off the hook, kids. You don't have to strain your brain to figure out something I can say. Okay.
Okay. The first one is from Rasa Rasika.
Rasa Rasika, Hare Krishna.
A devotee told me a story when he was...
A devotee told me a story. That sounds like a good start. Okay, who was the devotee? Where was the story from? And what's its source? Go ahead.
A devotee told me a story when he was chanting very intensely and very focused on the holy names. Suddenly he was overcome with an intense feeling of separation from Krishna as a friend. Tears uncontrollably started to flow, not normal tears of happiness or sadness, and this continued for about 1 minute. How are we able to know the difference between mundane feelings for the Lord and actual genuine spiritual experiences?
Well, we have to check anything like dreams or visions or some temporary symptom like that with the explanations given in Shastra. So one thing that Rupa Goswami says, that if you have a transcendental experience like that, it will give you a permanent change in your consciousness. Not that that means it will be permanently the same all the time, but there will be some change in your consciousness, in your state of being, and that will maintain. If it's just something that happens, then it goes away, and there's no difference from that time on. Then you can understand that either it's just mental, or something that you're doing with your mind by trying and trying and trying, and just like, actors and actresses, they learn the art of dropping tears whenever they want to, when they're playing a part. So that capacity is there in the human being, the human body, and the human mind. So therefore, we shouldn't get carried away with a situation like that. It may be, a symptom of ecstasy, but then there should be a permanent change. The chanting should be different from that time on. your ability to tolerate difficulties. These symptoms are all described in the Gita. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labha jyajo tato yudaya yujasva naivam papam babapsase. You know, we won't be disturbed by heat and cold and, you know, success and failure, happiness and distress. It's not that we don't have happiness and distress. Everyone in the material world experiences the dualities of pure intent to a certain extent, but they will be so diminished that you'll be able to maintain your Krishna consciousness steadily when you've actually experienced that kind of ecstatic symptom, if it is actually an ecstatic symptom. There are all kinds of people in India. You know, anybody who's from India knows. You go to any spiritual, festival or program, and sometimes people will come and they'll cry and they'll roll on the ground and they'll do all types of things, and then you look over and they're smoking a bidi, or they got a girl in their arm, or something's going on that doesn't kind of match up. It doesn't match up. So those things over the long haul have to be judged, number one, by the authority of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and by the effect on your being, on your consciousness, permanent effect, that match what's in the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And generally speaking, this isn't an absolute statement now, I'm just saying, generally speaking, persons who have that kind of experience, they don't display it. They don't speak about it. They don't brag about it. Like Prabhupada, I was with Prabhupada twice, 3 times when he went into ecstasy. And he just controlled it. And there was a few moments when all of us were transported, and that's another thing. If you're actually in that state of consciousness, then the people around you will be transported also. We have personal experience of that. It's called shadow attachment. But Prabhupada would control it. At one time in Atlanta, 1975, he had just come from a tour. He was touring, he was in the middle of a tour. He came there, he saw the beautiful Gaura deities. He chanted a prayer to the deities. Then he started to speak to devotees how happy he was and how beautiful the deities were. And he choked up and he went into bliss, went into a state. And we were all just stunned. We were just waiting to see what was happening. And then he just didn't show anything. And then he said, all right, chant Hare Krishna. And that was it. And then he left. So all those things have to be taken into consideration. It's not a simple affair. It's not a mundane, emotional experience. We have a lot of things from cyberspace that we've been neglecting people. Do you have something else from cyberspace? You said we have a lot.
Mm-hmm. Vilas Manjari Dasi says, Chapter 15, Text 11. Could you please explain more about how one can give their pious credits to another? Is this just something highly qualified persons can do? Or can anyone just by praying or desiring it give pious credits to someone?
It's laws of nature. It's not that we're the doers. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. These things are going on according to the laws of nature. Laws of nature are being conducted by demigods, the representatives of Krishna, and ultimately by the Supersoul in the hearts of all living beings. So it's not that you can wish people well, and because the Supersoul is in the hearts of everyone, and if you're dear to the Lord, and you're wishing well to someone else, then the Lord will feel that and give some effect or some blessing to that person. So it's not that we're doing, the Lord's doing through us. So we should always wish everyone well. And depending on how dear we are to Krishna, then that effect will be proportionate to how dear we are to Krishna. Therefore, when Lord Nrsingadev when Prahlad Maharaj asked, Lord Chingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj to take a benediction, and he said, "No, I don't want any benediction. I can see you. I don't need anything." And he said, "You must. I order you." So then finally he said, "All right, then just, make sure that my father's okay." He just tried to kill him and he wanted to bless him. So this is the blessing of an absolute pure devotee. So what did Lord Nrsimhadev say? Don't worry. 21 generations before you and after you will be blessed by your devotional service. So the conclusion is, if you want to bless someone, then rather than just, pretend to give Asharbhav and, everybody comes to you and say, "Oh, Swamiji, please bless me." We're supposed to put our hand on the head and rays come out of our hand and, you get your blessing and everything's okay now, I'm cured of this or that or the other thing. It's not like that. It's sentiment. That's all sentiment. But the way to bless everyone is to become an unalloyed, pure devotee of Krishna. And all these other things are shortcuts. People are trying to get shortcuts. Bless me, and then I could. And then I won't have to. Of course, there is such a thing as kripa siddha, when you please a pure devotee so much that he gives you some special message, a special blessing, and you become pure. But that's Krishna again doing it through the agency of the Super Soul. And how do you do that? You act in such a way, so wonderfully, that the spiritual master becomes very, very pleased with you and then offers you the benediction. And the Krishna within the heart says yes and gives you that benediction, that perfection. We don't want material benedictions. We want to please Krishna. We want to make Krishna happy. We want to make our spiritual master happy. And to the extent that we're in that consciousness, that we want to make others happy rather than ourselves. And when others people's happiness becomes our happiness, and Krishna's happiness becomes our happiness, then that spreads mercy and benefit through the satisfaction of the Lord, who's in the heart of all living beings. That's all I know about that.
Okay. That was nice. Rati Manjari says, "Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight we heard that when brahmanas and saintly persons are honored, they part with their pious activities, giving them to those who honor them and render them service." 5:15:11 purport. I find this to be quite wonderful. I was wondering whether this happens through a conscious calculation, like someone who's paying a certain amount of money to another, or does this happen in a spontaneous manner? Or does Lord Krishna decide how much pious credits the worshipper of a saintly person receives?
I just answered the question.
Oh, she did say yes, perfect, after that.
Hare Krishna. And what else?
That's it.
That's it. Yes, Damodar.
Just not a question, but something I heard similar to this topic, that Yamunacharya, Ramanujacharya's guru, one of his disciples, I don't remember his name, Yamunacharya had a disease, I think it was shingles or something, was suffering a lot of pain. And then his disciple chanted some mantra and he got the disease to himself, to his body, transferred the disease to himself, and he suffered. And he allowed his Guru Maharaj to go preach. So he did that. And then his Guru Maharaj said he cannot do this, and he again got back the disease. So he suffered. Just wanted to.
Where is it from?
It's in Ramanujacharya's history, that writings, in that I read that.
Who's the author? Anyway, those things anything's possible. Krishna can do those things, but we always like to check if we can know where it's from. That's better.
I think it's authentic source.
It
was told by.
Anyway, Krishna can do anything. He's Yogeshwar. He's making the whole universe. So we speak of doing something like that. But the point is that we shouldn't take some kind of exception like that, because that's the nature of being in this material world. We want to hear that kind of mystical thing happen, and then we want to get that kind of mystical thing happen, and then we don't want to do we don't want to, I don't know, this is not, I don't mean to say that devotional regulations are a slog. They're not a slog. But we don't want to take the trouble to become very regulated and very perfect in the execution of our devotional life and devotional service. We want to get that, honorary degree, as Prabhupada said. We shouldn't act like that. There may be exceptions to those things, and very, very advanced personalities can give those kinds of perfections by their mercy and through, like I said, through the pleasure of Krishna. But not that we should, become intoxicated by hearing those things and then be satisfied with that and just stay the same. That goes on, especially in India. They come, line up, give us ashirvad, give me mercy, give me blessings, give me blessings. Usually what Prabhupada would say when that happened, he would say, you want my blessings? Take this instruction and carry it out. That's the blessing. The blessing is the teachings, the instructions that if you carry it out becomes the source of your perfection.
It makes a lot of sense when you said that when you want to bless someone, you pray hard to Krishna and pray to bless them instead of artificially blessing someone. You can actually pray for them.
Yes.
Similarly, you can also pray to get the suffering of others. Is that also?
Vasudeva Datta did.
Yeah.
Vasudeva Datta prayed to Lord Chaitanya. He said, I only have one prayer, O Lord, please, I cannot tolerate seeing the sufferings of others. So please, let me take the suffering. And if you think that their reactions have to be used up somehow or other, let me stay here in this universe and take everyone back to Godhead, and I'll suffer all the reactions of all the people in the universe myself. So what did Lord Chaitanya say? See, Vasudeva Datta, he said, and he was crying. He started to cry, Lord Chaitanya. He said, your desire is so pure, it is already done just by you desiring it. Because Lord Chaitanya was so pleased. I mean, how can we conceive when Lord Chaitanya used to go to Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami when they were staying in Jagannath Puri, a little apart from the temple, and he would come to them every day. And one day he came to Haridas Thakur and he said, Haridas, how will the conditioned souls be delivered? And Haridas looked at him and he said, my Lord, they're already delivered. Just by you coming into the universe and chanting the holy names, they're all delivered. And there's other places in the scriptures where it describes that Lord Chaitanya delivered every single soul in the universe when he came into the universe. And so did Krishna. And then the universe filled back up again, instantaneously. How are you going to understand that? No, that's not possible. Okay. Means you have very little faith in God. But that's the fact. The fact is that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is unlimited. There's no limit to it. But it's illustrating the point that if a person has such pure desire that he wants everyone else to be liberated and he wants to take all the reactions on himself, that's a very rare soul who can think like that even. But to speak of really feel it, then the Lord becomes so pleased. Even if you sit in one place and chant Hare Krishna and constantly meditate on the deliverance of the fallen conditioned souls, you will deliver people from that position. But that's a very, very rare, very elevated position. And those who are actually advanced, they act as if they're neophytes anyway. And still they desire this. And it's in this way that the Krishna consciousness movement can slow down the Kali Yuga for some time, for a certain part, little sliver, the golden age, of Lord Chaitanya's golden age. We can slow it down by our preaching, by our devotional service, by our sincere desires for people to become benefited and to get relief from suffering. To the extent that we're self-absorbed, our prayers and our thoughts like that won't have much effect. But to the extent that we actually are feeling the sufferings of others and praying to Krishna to deliver them, to that extent they'll be effective. You have something?
Yeah, we have a question.
Bhakta Doug, you got the last mic.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. I just wanted to ask, you were speaking about the descendants in the line of King Priyavrata, and you were saying that they are our ancestors. I was just curious, are these eternal personalities that take place in each universe? These individuals are just in this kind of universe that these personalities, like, I guess, precede us.
Well, this universe lasts for 311 trillion years. And within that time, there are partial dissolutions of parts of the universe in the end of every day of Brahma, partial dissolutions at the end of the Manu period. And different souls take different positions during that time. Like, for instance, Ashwatthama, he's going to take the position of Vyasadeva in future, even though he did such a heinous act. So it all fits together. What you have to do is you have to go through it again and again and again and again until it kind of, you can see the scope of it. There's one Brahma in one creation, but the other souls switch positions.
But these specific roles exist.
Yeah, the roles are eternal. The positions are eternal. The structure is eternal, and every time the universe is created, it has the same structure. And when the partial annihilations come, then when they're reconstructed by Brahma, every morning when he gets up, he has to reconstruct part of the universe. Imagine. You want to become Brahma? Think again. We have problem just getting out of bed and getting to what we're supposed to do. And every time he gets up, he has to partially create the universe, recreate the universe. So that's the answer to the question. The positions are the same, but different personalities come and take those positions. And there was one, I think, when we already read one thing that described in different manus who were the sages, who was Indra, who was, you remember that?
I was also not certain if it was the same for every, all these listed descendants and everything too. But I think you just cleared that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I heard Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu give a nice analogy. He said, the Vedas are an eternal sound that it's kind of like a script. Like, when a company, a drama company comes and they play Hamlet or some, and it's a script, and they all dress up and different persons do the parts, and each one is a little different. A person will play the part of Hamlet, and everybody and the critics will rave over it, and another critic will just say it's a bomb, he bombed out, and sometimes there'll be little lapses of memory, and there'll be little ad libs, sometimes famous ad libs, off script they call it, something off script, and they'll say, and it'll end up being the best part of the thing, So these things are going on. It's not that it's some kind of, mechanical newsreel that you see. It's just exactly the same every time. It's not like that. But it's similar. The unfolding of the universe is similar. Because it's a continuation. It's a continuum. It's a continuum of action and reactions, and everyone's involved, and everyone's connected with everyone else. everyone's minds, when we get wound back up into Mahavishnu, we still keep a package of our identity according to the total karma, and we come out the next time and we have a certain position and a certain ability in a certain place, a certain circumstance according to that package of our, it's called svabhava. Not svabhava in the sense of our original identity in spiritual world, but the svabhava in terms of the package of all of our accumulated karma that gives us this particular body and mind. It's a little complicated. If you try to calculate the actions, reactions of every single living entity in the universe since time immemorial, it's a little complicated. And to think that we can figure it out with our intelligence is folly. "'Tis folly to be wise, where ignorance is bliss." Okay, I think I'll close shop tonight and get ready to take rest and get up. We did 50 pages today, by the way. 50 pages. We are gradually going. We're in the 17th chapter, last chapter of Adi Leela. So with the blessings of all of you, we were talking about Ashirvad, the blessing. So with all your blessings, I'll be able to finish before I leave my body. Hare Krishna. Okay, the descendants of Priyavrata Maharaj ki jai. King Gaya ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. See you tomorrow, same place, same station, same time. Hare Krishna.